Yo, yo, yo. So, this could turn into a long one today. By the way, for those that don't know me, I am Roxanne Higgins, a Growth and Joy alchemist. And today, I guess I've got a little bit of a confession to make. These are my confessions. These are my confessions. That sounds a lot deeper than it is. So, where do I start with this? Bit of a background story. So last year, I was quite ill, spent 6 weeks in hospital, ended up having emergency surgery to have part of my colon removed and then rejoined. Quite traumatic, lots of little complications along the way, but made a full recovery. And it turned out to be not the worst thing it could be, which is obviously great, but there was ulcerative colitis there before, but basically the colon was in such a mess, they weren't entirely sure what it was. They think it was probably colitis mixed with diverticulitis, but again, not 100% sure. So I've not been on any meds since I came out of hospital, more or less, since the end of last year anyway. I felt pretty healthy apart from some sort of vitamin deficiencies, but they've all been dealt with. Anyway, my confession is the last week or two, couple of weeks maybe, I've had some reoccurring symptoms that today just felt like they were getting worse, peaking, which sent me into a little bit of a do not want to go there again, obviously. The other amazing thing is I've got a hospital appointment next week, so I've done what I can energetically and feel a lot better for it, which is what I want to talk to you about, because it was quite a lot to untangle. So, but obviously it's also being dealt with medically, so I will be speaking to them about that next week. So I did a belief coding session on myself, a full one, quite an in-depth one, the way I would with a client, which was very interesting. So the desired outcome for me is obviously optimum health. And then when I said this out loud and breathed it into my body, weirdly I felt it in my throat, because my assumption was that I'd feel it in my stomach or in my, in that area, in my colon. No, I repeated it a few times. It was in my throat, which kind of says, doesn't it, that there's something I'm not speaking, or a truth that I'm not adhering to, which could just be the fact that I've not been doing the work. And when I say the work, I mean the shadow work for myself. It's great doing it for other people, for clients, but I deserve that attention too. So I wonder if that's what that was now. I'm wondering that as I'm speaking it here in the moment. So more may unfold around that. But this is where it led me. When I dived into the purpose of optimum health and what that would give me, my reasons were a long and happy life, ease of mind, body and spirit. I feel ease of mind and spirit for the most part, just not body right now. So that's sort of a wholeness, I guess. The purpose would be for me high energy, which in turn means I take good care of all my responsibilities, mainly my home and my business. Obviously my daughter's high up there, but I feel like I do that anyway. Okay, so I take good care of her, but the responsibilities that seem to be that I feel like I'm not taking such good care of because I don't feel 100%, are the home, housework, which was my job for today. That's not gone as well as I'd hoped, but I almost kind of knew that. So I think now I've done this healing session and belief coded so much, I can crack on and get that done quickly and then spend time on the other thing that I felt this was holding me back with, which was my business. So I felt like I wasn't getting things done around the home and I'm not spending the time I want on my business. So not taking good care of my responsibilities. So the other purpose of Optimum Health and what it'd give me is better connections and relationships in, all round generally, and just to feel healthy, nourished and energized. So then the next part of this process I took myself through was, how would this positively impact me? Well, my home would be quickly clean and tidy. There'd be no procrastinating, no stop and starting, just boom, done. I'd have energy to progress with my business faster. So I've got some big things in the pipeline. So this not feeling 100% seems that it could be for these two reasons. Ultimately, slowing myself down, progressing with my business because it's having an impact on that, and also an impact on the state of my home. This is what started to transpire. When you're bearing in mind my desired outcome is Optimum Health, things coming up here around business and my home, you think, okay, there's bigger things at play here, isn't it? Funny, it never ceases to amaze and fascinate me how this all links together. It blows my mind and I love it. So how else this would positively impact me was that I would have more time, more energy, less worries. Some emotions come up around how those things, about how not having those things made me feel disgusted, frustrated, scared, worried, and why it makes me feel like that. So I don't like how messy my home is. I'm frustrated that I never seem to have time to spend in and on my business. I'm scared of getting really ill again, and I'm scared of failing Alicia, which knock-on effect, I worry about money. So then I come to, how do I want to feel and why? I want to feel at peace and like everything is easy, as well as super healthy, because then all our needs will be met. I'll have a perfect home and thriving business. So then the next part was that I pictured when my outcome happens, i.e. Optimum Health, what does it feel like and what are you doing and why are you doing it? So it feels like bliss. I've got so much energy, I could cartwheel. I'm working with high paying one-to-one clients and my membership members. Going forward 6 more months, what am I doing? Fully self-employed, and we're living in our dream home. Okay, so can you again see how I've gone from Optimum Health to being fully self-employed and living in our dream home? It does make sense when you unravel it. And then what belief does that version of me have? So I came up with a list of what beliefs that version of me has. And then I actually added to that when I found the memories that were connected to Optimum Health, or not having Optimum Health as such. And I found a couple more that I felt would fit. So to start with, I live a life of high energy and bliss. I love working with high paying one-to-one clients. My Optimum Health means all areas of our lives are thriving. I easily handle and enjoy all my responsibilities. We are living the dream, baby. When I say we, that I meant my daughter and I, and I think I actually changed that to Alicia and I live in the dream. I'm well connected in every type of relationship. I'm healthy, nourished and energized. Time is my friend. So that I then added another 3. I went a little bit mad on beliefs. I think 5 or 6 is great, but I ended up with 11. But hey, I know what I'm doing with this, so it's easier. If I were to do that with that many with a client, it might be that another session would be needed to get them all coded in. As it happens, that might even be the case here. I might need another session because 2 of them didn't actually fully code in, but I will test them again later when the energy settles, and it might be that they have. It was just that my subconscious mind needs time to integrate that healing energy and let it catch up. So that's the reason I wouldn't do quite so many with a client, because it could then mean them needing another session, which clearly if they need another session, they need another session regardless. But you know, that's, I don't want to almost inflict that on them, if that's the right word, because the more beliefs you've got, the more they could be tied up and tangled in with it. So I then tested with my subconscious mind what the trapped emotion was, because there's usually a trapped emotion connected to the not having the thing you want, i.e. optimum health. And then memories crop up. You then work with the memory and heal it. So the first memory that cropped up for me was being in hospital last year and worrying about how my daughter was coping and feeling disconnected from her. Because I felt like she was probably I felt like I knew she was struggling, but I also knew she was trying to be brave for my sake, and I was probably trying to do the same, and being physically apart was hard. So that was the memory that cropped up. And also an interesting side note, whilst I worked with and healed that memory, an interesting side note crept up that I will go back and do something with, as I was, prior to this, coding in beliefs around reducing my weight. So I lost lots of weight being ill and have gained it since, which wasn't part of the plan, but there's a lot tangled up in it. And something that came up in that memory was that being fat shows that I'm okay. So even though I've done a little bit of work on this already subconsciously, I'm associating being fat or bigger with being healthy, losing weight with being ill. So I've made a note of that to work through again in another session, which makes sense with everything I went through. And it was very confusing with food. I mean, even like with the symptoms now, it's quite possibly because I had a lentil curry last night. As much as it was homemade, super clean, spice, lentils, in a colitis flare. I don't even want to call it that because it feels a little bit too like owning it, but say that's what it was, that's going to aggravate. And the foods that help are the easily digestible ones, like white bread, white pasta, white rice even. I think white rice might be one of them. Anything white, bland, cakey, lean protein. Veg and fruit would have to be really cooked and almost quite mushy. So mashed potato, nothing with skins, nothing that's grainy or pippy. So I don't know about rice now, I must double check that. I think white rice is okay. It's basically the opposite, the absolute opposite to everything you've been led to believe. So you can see how my mind and body has been left in a state of confusion sometimes with that. But again, I'm now, that's another belief there, isn't it? That I could test if I believe that at a subconscious level and then work with that as well, because just the way I frame that, it sort of says there's more there. Because if my body is in a state of confusion, it's not in a state of optimum health, is it? So I'm actually going to write that down while we're here, because while I'm here, even as a side note, because if I do believe that at a deeper level, that needs recoding. My body is in a, what was it? My body is in a state of confusion. And this has just given me another session to do. Good job, I love it, isn't it? That's one for tomorrow. So I healed that memory, that experience of being in hospital and worrying about my daughter and feeling disconnected from her. And then I checked for any other memories. And interestingly, what I was shown was a green witchy face. Do you remember Grotbag from the TV programme in the 80s? So I saw her face, and then I felt this real heaviness and pressure here under my eyes. It was an odd feeling. It wasn't painful. It was just, I was just massively aware of this area, sort of under my eyes, my cheekbone. And then it sort of dropped in that symbolically, that was a past life version of me. And that's how she felt she was viewed. You know, that stereotypical film type, green faced, evil, warty looking witch. So I realised that and was taken back to a past life as a witch. Pretty sure it was one I've been to many times before, but lots to be healed from those generational traumas, hey? So, and interestingly, what came up for her that she wanted healing was that she just wanted to be normal. And I thought, oh, there's a belief there that there's something wrong with me. And if I believe there's something wrong with me, or if one believes there's something wrong with me, how's that going to show up? Illness. If you believe there's something wrong with you, you're going to be presented with that in the physical. So I added a belief around that. The beliefs that I added around the experience of worrying about my daughter when I was in hospital and feeling disconnected from her, a belief I added was putting myself first takes care of others. See, if I'm healthy, happy and thriving, then I can take care of other people, can't I? My daughter, friends, family, clients. And then off of the back of both memories, both experiences, I coded in, I'm perfectly designed in all ways, to counteract that belief that Grotbag, bless her, she, as I worked with her and healed her, she lost that image and sort of transformed into, you know, a beautiful woman, basically. So it was interesting. It was almost like, I don't think it was her self-perception as much, it was how she believed others viewed her. And then the last memory I coded in was, I always trust myself fully, I know how to cure. So she was struggling to trust herself because obviously it wasn't safe to cure, yet she had those abilities. She worked with energy, magic, herbs, etc. But it wasn't safe to. So I coded in that for that reason. I always trust myself, I know how to cure. Hence, I did the belief coding session on it, which, I say, amazing. There were no other memories or experiences that cropped up, and I feel healthier. I feel more motivated to get these things done. I'm trying to whiz through this video because I'm actually wanting to do my housework. But when I tested if the beliefs had coded in, bearing in mind I had 11, 2 hadn't. Okay, so what can happen here is that it just might mean that the energy needs to settle. And if I test that later on, it might be that they have coded in. The 2 that didn't were, my optimum health means all areas of our lives are thriving, and I easily handle and enjoy all my responsibilities. Well, if obviously I test that later or tomorrow and they've not coded in, it'd be that there's something else around that, another experience that needs healing. And then I'll do another whole session around that. So it's no drama, so to speak. It just means it's a little bit more tangled up in it somewhere, which is what I mean. When you've got a longer list of beliefs, it can mean more experiences are attached to it. So generally, why with a client, I tend to go 6 to 8 new beliefs at the most. But doing this work myself and in an ongoing way, that's not an issue. It's not an issue with a client, it just depends how many sessions they want to have. So yeah, I thought I'd share that process with you because it's just fascinating. Like I say, that I started with optimum health. What not having optimum health meant was that I'm not doing everything I can around the house, and it's sort of hindering my business. Just a tiny bit, not a lot. Do you know what I mean? But I felt like there's more I could do, so I can do that now. The only other thing I was thinking, that what were the 2 beliefs that didn't code in? My optimum health means all areas of our lives are thriving. I easily handle and enjoy all my responsibilities. Well, I've had this thought for the last week or so that I'd like to hibernate for a little while. You know, like, can you feel the wheel of the wheel of the years turning, and the weather's starting to change, isn't it? And I've got that sort of cozier feeling upon me. And I've felt this sort of urge to want to hibernate. So I'm going to make sure I work in more rest, because if I want that and I don't do anything about it, you know, I basically hibernated for the whole of last autumn through illness. I do not want to bring that about through being ill, which could be another reason this is going on. So again, I'm going to check the hibernation craving. I'm writing that down now too, and work with that, because because what that does as well, you know, if I were ill, I'd be taken care of, wouldn't I? I wouldn't have to worry about the responsibilities. Now, I don't really want that at a conscious level. I want to take care of my responsibilities, myself, my home, my daughter, my business, but if I'm craving a break, what's going to happen? Those things are going to escalate, aren't they? It could make me ill, so I am going to pencil in. And when I say a break, I've had holidays, etc., or little holidays. It's more rest than a break. So yeah, I'm going to definitely bring about more rest for the next few days, and then test this hibernation craving, we'll call it. So any questions, give me a shout. Either reach out here on YouTube or in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notifications of new videos. So at the moment they're coming in daily. What else was I going to say? Oh, I've got a new little free offer available. It's called the Resistance Reset. So if you're interested in that, because I felt some resistance around doing my own shadow work, around doing my own belief coding sessions, and it got to a point where I've had to deal with it today, because I am not going to be ill again, right? So what you resist persists. So reach out. I will put the link for the Resistance Reset in the comments. Like I say, that's a new little free offering. Super short process to basically meet the resistance, see it for what it is. See, the resistance here for me was around, you know, around not wanting to around responsibilities, basically. So that feeling's already changed, and I think that's going to improve as the day goes on and that all settles, because all over tissue. Oh, here we are, yawn it. That, again, that's a sign of clearing. So bearing in mind I've only just done this session, there'll still be a lot of healing, clearing, integrating going on. So yawning is a good sign. If you've ever worked with me with belief coding sessions in that one-to-one capacity, people always apologise, and I encourage it. It's a sign that things are shifted, something shifted, cleared, released. So that's a good thing. Oh, now I'm burping, so that's another one. It's all coming up and out. We get all the bodily functions in belief coding. So those details will be in the comments. Reach out. God, now I think I'm going to hiccup. Reach out to me on social media if you want more help with resistance, if you want me to send you the link for the Resistance Reset, if you want to talk about belief coding sessions, do come and find me or drop a comment here on YouTube. Right, that's it for me. I have gone on for long enough. I hope that made a lot of sense. And I'll say goodbye, and I'll be back. And I'm just going to keep recording these, because it's just, I think it's helpful to see. And if I keep showing up, you're going to see the difference that today's session's made. Bye for now.